Yeah, man. Famous cartoonist Art Balthazar, as you see. Abraham Lincoln is with me, and we are watching, and you are watching. Famous cartoonists draw at night. They draw at night, by night. We're all here together, man. Buy their comics, buy my comics, shop.
Welcome to Cartoonist by Night. I am your host, Anthony Laatsch. I am joined here by Matt Rodgers, D. Brad Gibson, hopefully Troy Dongarra. He's having some internet connection issues at the moment, but we are here with a very special guest from the creator of To Fight a Hessian and the upcoming The California Kids, Kevin Wolf, aka Happy Wolf Art. Hello, Kevin.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, Kevin Wolf is a frequent commenter. You're always excited to comment on the show, watch the show, and here you are on the show, not only to hang out and draw, but to also advertise the work that you do. But before we get into any of that, we're going to have you let the audience know what topic we're talking about, even though they already saw it in the YouTube, they clicked it, they know what we're talking about. But this is the topic that you picked. What is it?
That's right. The funny pages, Sunday funnies, and
There we go.
newspaper cartoons. Yeah.
That is it. So once you had said that, I'm like, yep, I know everybody's going to be on board for that. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go around the horn and basically just get the introductions on what we plan to draw, maybe what we're just starting out with. You don't have to reveal all the secrets. Basically, just kind of get us going, and then we'll dive right into the topic of the newspaper comics, as well as our guest, Kevin Wolf. So, and once again, Troy may jump into this episode as we go. So we'll just see what happens. That's going to be the fun of it here. So let's start over with, I normally say Matt Rodgers, but he is not visible on his screen. D. Brad Gibson, what are you going to start with on this episode?
Well, when I was in elementary school, there was this book in the library I would always get, and it was a how to draw book, and it was called Draw 50 Famous Cartoons, and it had classic cartoon characters, mostly from comic strips, but also some from television. So it had the Flintstones, it had Popeye and Dick Tracy, and it showed you step by step how to draw the characters. And so on my screen in front of me, I have a PDF of the book, and I can flip through the pages, and I'm gonna do step by step, and I'm gonna learn how to draw some characters using the book.
Oh, cool. All
Uh,
right, Matt Rodgers has returned. I'm guessing he tried to go find Troy, but he was unsuccessful. So, Matt Rodgers, what are you going to be working on tonight's episode?
I don't know yet.
Excellent. I'm glad
I was grabbing some stuff off of my shelf to show later.
Yeah, that's good. That's worth it. All right, we're going to jump over to my screen here. Normally, I've been working on physical pieces, but I'm going to be testing this on this episode. I don't have the iPad set up to the computer directly, but I got my drawing screen on the iPad. And I'm thinking, all right, what am I going to draw? I wanted to kind of mash up three of my favorite comic strip characters into one drawing. So here is the reveal of the pencils I did ahead of time. I am going to have Dennis the Menace with a slingshot. I've got Snoopy flying the doghouse, and sleeping up against the doghouse is Beetle Bailey. So that is what I'm going to be working on,
Awesome.
is mashing those three up. I still need to learn how to like come up with my own poses, so I mostly just use the established, artist, creations off of Google image search to get some of the poses and everything. And naturally some of the styles change just based on how I draw, but for the most part, I kind of went by the book with kind of looking at that. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm going to be working on. Jump over to Kevin Wolf. What are you going to be starting off with tonight?
Yeah, so I have a list here of things that I hope to accomplish tonight. I'm going to be focusing on heads, just the heads of the characters, and so I'm going to start off with Hagar the Horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and then what I'm planning to do is do a mashup of those cartoon characters with creator-owned characters that are connected to this very podcast. So with Hagar, I'm going to mash him up with Troy Dongarra's Kid Slapshot without his hoodie, so just the face of Kid Slapshot. And then I'm going to work through sort of a list of various characters. I'm going to have one with Happy Astronaut and Dennis the Menace talking about their hairdos. And so, yeah. So have a fun list, and hopefully at the very end, I have one that with Blue Scar and also a character from Art Baltazar. I'm hoping to mash those two up also. So
very cool. So yeah, that is what we're going to be starting with. We're going to go through and have this episode, and then throughout the episode, if I forget to check in with Kevin Wolf, feel free to just kind of, even as you're talking, even if you're not mentioning what you're showing, feel free to just kind of hold it up and,
Okay.
as you go along. That might help rather than just waiting for me like every 10 minutes or something. So feel free if you just are in the habit of that, just kind of showing up what you're working on. So we're going to start off talking about newspaper comics. What I kind of want to start off with is basically getting everybody's favorite comic strip. I told on myself here by showing off Beetle Bailey, Dennis the Menace, and Snoopy. But I'll wait till the end of the round to say which one of these three is my favorite. Also, don't look at my shirt because maybe that's a spoiler. But let's start with Kevin Wolf here. If you were asked, which you are right now, your favorite comic strip character, your favorite newspaper comic character.
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, it has to be Garfield, 100%. And a close second is Dennis the Menace. So, yeah.
Dennis the Menace makes me think of 80s Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
It used to be like all over the cups and everything.
Yeah, that was part of my talking point of just my, my love for Dennis the Menace through DQ.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we all remember these sort of longer
Yeah.
cartoon collections, and the strip or the storyline that was the most influential when I was young is Garfield on the Town. I don't know if anyone remembers that one.
Oh, look at that, Deep Red. Of course,
Yeah.
Deep Red's got that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it was made also into a TV cartoon, and
Yeah, that's right. It's the first Garfield special.
right, there was some singing, I think, and dancing in it even.
Yeah.
Cool. Jump over to Matt Rodgers. Favorite newspaper comic strip character?
Man, there's so many. And I noticed that, like, I mean, we'll go ahead and get Calvin and Hobbes out of the way because it's amazing. But I really get into the, like, older. Like, I have this awesome Pogo Complete Treasury, Volume 1. And it's amazing. I think this was done. When was Pogo? Like the 1948. He ran it until 1973. I was also always a really big fan of For Better or For Worse. I just like the idea of
That's from Canada.
Yeah, Lynn Johnston's awesome. And then I'm a really big fan of like the old adventure strips. I love Steve Canyon. And Milton Caniff is from Hillsboro, Ohio. Like they have a historic sign. Hey, there we go. And then also a real big fan of Dick Tracy. This one's just all of the strips from the 30s. And then I got to name drop Jeff Smith because I got my kickstarted
Yeah.
Thorn.
Oh, cool.
I just got mine recently too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all of his strips that he did for the Ohio State University newspaper when he was going there. And it came with really cool stuff, like little mini comics that he made when he was like 5 years old. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and like he got them, they're actual like reproductions that are all tiny.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
it's like so cool.
Yeah, I got to dive into that stuff yet, but yeah, I unpacked it and saw all those goodies, and I'm excited to dive. Really
Got three little guys.
Oh wow.
Super awesome.
cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of I mean I like Gag-A-Day stuff, but I've always liked stuff with like a lot of continuity, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well,
Jump over to D. Brad. Favorite newspaper comic strip or character?
depends on the years. Yeah, I had a big Garfield kick too. That was my favorite for a while, and then I also enjoyed into the '80s. Um, Bloom County,
Mm.
and so I do have an autograph. I have a few autographs over here from the author of Bloom County.
Oh, nice.
But you mentioned for better or for worse. I wrote her a letter too, and she sent me Lynn Johnson little thing. She wrote back
wow.
to me,
Nice.
and I got
Awesome.
yeah, and I love the old comics as well. So I've got Steve Canyon and Pogo as well, and I also one I like the drawing of that taught me how to draw a little bit was Little Abner.
Mm-hmm.
So this was one of my books I had when I was a kid that I would use for learning how to draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so those adventure strips I really enjoy. And then one really fun thing I found one time was this giant book, the Smithsonian Collection of Newspaper Comics.
Yes.
So it goes from the
gotta-
whole history.
Oh, nice.
It's got like Little Nemo and Slumberland.
I got something to add to that real quick. You said giant book, but I have a giant book. Is my Little Nemo in Slumberland,
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
and it is
Yeah.
just as big as they were drawn and published, just newspaper strips.
That's
And
awesome.
And I did write a letter to a whole bunch of comic strip artists I liked, and a lot of them wrote me back. But here's one of I really like Leonard Starr, who did a later version of Little Orphan Annie.
Oh wow.
He also created the Thundercats. And then,
Really?
yeah, this was one I liked, the Born Loser. That was from the he drew me a picture and sent it to me. That's
Very cool.
local paper. And then this one's hilarious. Family Circus.
Oh,
Right.
Jesse?
Billy.
Billy.
Yeah, so it says hi Brad in it.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And this was a recent one. Speaking of Dennis Menace, I got a Dennis. I do have Dennis Menace autograph from Hank Ketchum, but this is one of his one of the guys he trained who took over. And so he actually drew this one for me for free. He used to be on Facebook a lot, and I would ask him questions, but all of a sudden he just disappeared one day. Can't find any trace of him anymore. But so yeah, he doesn't charge for anything. He's happy to help people out and give them pointers. He's awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Current comic strip that I like is a Canadian one called Forest Folk.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that one is an internet, so it doesn't count as newspaper strips. It's an internet one, but yeah. But yeah, comic strips that was my dream when I was a kid, is to have my own comic strip. So I did try to sell one to a syndicate in the 90s.
I was just about to introduce our very, very special guest, Troy Dongarra, but then he disappeared right when I was
Yeah.
going. So yeah, he's been having a lot of connections. I can imagine that being a little frustrating for him to pop in and out. And so yeah, we'll see if we at least caught a glimpse of him. All right, and just because we see some Hagar popping up over there.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I'll do-
Hagar.
yeah, quick little Hagar. If
Awesome.
I was doing this in Procreate, I wouldn't have positioned them so closely to the edge, but but I'm going to draw Troy Dongarra's kid slap shot without his hoodie on next on the other side of the page, and then I'm going to do a mashup of both of them in the middle.
When you're drawing physical, there's this awesome Canadian trick that I learned that if you like pinch and zoom on the physical paper, you can actually move things. Um, so yeah, hopefully Troy will join us. I will go next here talking about my favorite comic strip character, that is Beetle Bailey. So he definitely had to be part of the piece there. But I wanted to kind of show off some things real quick. A while ago, a couple months ago, I drew a Beetle Bailey, but in Scotty Young style. I just kind of mimic how Scotty Young would draw Beetle Bailey, which I haven't seen him draw it, but I figured, maybe that will kind of look like him. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I,
it
I
does.
really, I really
Looks
dug that
great.
one. And, yeah, that one, I've drawn him a couple times, but I think it's a fun practice where I'm like, oh, I should try to just draw him in everybody's style. Um, Beetle Bailey, I have all of these, the comic strip, the little digest paperbacks. So I've got tons of Beetle Bailey there. I also have I forget if it was what anniversary edition it was, but this box set here, which had all of the cartoons, the cartoon shorts. So they got them all on DVD. This
Oh
case
yeah.
this case has a bunch of cool stuff with a bunch of you replicas, just recreations of some comic strips over the decades. A bunch of cool prints of Mort Walker, the creator, also the creator of High and Lois as well, and
Yeah.
then some other full color, some of the larger Beetle Bailey strips. So yeah, if you could probably still get this collection fairly reasonable, but yeah, it's a lot of good stuff there in one.
Yeah, because
Oh,
isn't Beetle Bailey is technically like a spin-off of High and Lois because it's like
yeah,
her
Lo-
nephew,
Lois's
Uh,
brother, I believe.
yeah,
brother.
brother and
That's what
sister.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
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 I have a comic strip of Beetle Bailey visiting High and Lois, and they're looking through photo albums, and I printed it off and sent it to Mort Walker to sign, so he signed it for me.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah, I
I
heard
learned how to
that.
draw the inside of ears from Mort Walker.
Mhm.
I heard that's the original story with Mort Walker is let's see, Beetle Bailey was a college student initially,
Yeah.
and then he
Fighter.
did join the military, and then he came back home, but everybody wrote in and said, we want Beetle Bailey back in the military again. And then
Right.
that's where you have the branch off of Beetle Bailey and High and Lois
Right.
developing. That's my understanding anyways.
I think
Yeah, and
that sounds right.
early on he was originally known as Spider, and then
Oh
when they're
yeah.
gonna go
Oh,
forward with it, it ended up that there must have been like a different comic strip with a character named Spider, and then um,
Oh,
now I wish I had gone before D. Brad showed off, all of those cool things from all the cartoonists. I just have one to show off, but this one I got, it is from Mort Walker. Now this is something I got through the Heritage auctions,
nice.
and I hunted it down. I got it for a really good price, and Mort Walker had passed away, lived a long life, and spent his life doing this comic. Um, but what's interesting is that this one says best wishes to Martin Gran. So for the remainder of this episode, feel free to refer to me as Martin and future Martin if I need to edit anything out. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know who Martin Grant is. I thought maybe it's like a fellow cartoonist or a creator. I couldn't find any results, so it might have just been something that went through like an estate sale or something like that. But
Right.
I figured it's part of my journey, part of my responsibility now to treasure this Beetle Bailey sketch from Mort Walker there.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks, Martin.
And then I've got a bunch of the little figurines for Beetle Bailey. These are all cool, like the little PVC
Neat.
figurines. Don't want to forget Otto there as well. And maybe Beetle too. He was sitting off to the side. So yeah, there's a lot of cool merchandise as well as this little.
Where'd you get those from?
Just the World Wide Web. Probably just eBay. I forget.
eBay.
I think it was
Okay.
eBay. But yeah. I think that takes care of the of my round for talking about the favorite comic strip character. If Troy jumps in, I didn't hear from him yet. We'll find out from him. So yes.
I you know how I got Charles Schultz's autograph?
You
I
robbed
I
him?
I just Googled Charles Schultz autograph Brad. And then I found a picture. I found a picture of one.
Oh, hey, there we go. I should have done that instead of Martin Garan.
Yeah.
That's all right. Martin's a good name.
I was just
Cool. All right.
Yeah, I had plenty of stuff also I could add maybe throughout the episode, but the main two were definitely Garfield and Dennis the Menace. And for those that are interested in High and Lois, I showed this briefly. It collects I think it collects all of the Sunday colored funnies.
nice.
And then what I particularly love about this book and this version is it uses they have these splash pages with the halftone dots
Oh
that
yeah.
are it's just incredible, really beautiful artwork. So there's plenty of more that I can offer up, like Anthony. I have these little digests for Hagar.
Yeah.
Those
I got
are
one of
always
those.
always fun to find those in thrift stores or wherever you come across them.
I used to order them from school, Scholastic book orders. They'd have a lot of those kind of books, and then my favorite from back then was Marmaduke to get.
Yeah, I've got some Marmaduke.
Yeah, and Heathcliff.
Yeah, what about Heathcliff versus Garfield? Which one? Which
Well, if you've read Heathcliff in the last decade, it's really bizarre now.
oh, is that
It is way out there. It's surreal.
ah,
It has a new artist and writer, and he just says, "I just gotta go crazy with it," and it's like sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
hmm,
And I go, I don't know if I understand this.
yeah.
There's
Is
like a frog character in it now too. It's just look it up this week, everybody. Look up Heathcliff and see what the latest one's all about.
is Heathcliff still sort of a single panel comic, or
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
it is.
I think traditionally it's been that.
Yeah, if I had to choose between the two, I'd pick Garfield, but I did consume both comics and cartoons of both of the characters. But ultimately, there's too many fish bones in Heathcliff.
Yeah,
True.
The real question
more
is,
of an
do you
outdoorsy.
prefer lasagna or fish bones? And I have to pick lasagna. It was actually my dinner last night in preparation for this episode. So
Yeah, definitely.
Popeye's
other
hard
people, other people's thoughts on Garfield versus Heathcliff and preferences?
Garfield.
Yeah.
Garfield, because I love it, because you can tell when Jim Davis has no ideas, because that's when he's just like
I hate
weeks
Mondays.
worth of him killing spiders.
Yeah.
This one's gonna be a I hate Mondays.
Well, we haven't had him mess around with Pookie lately.
I did reach out to, and I think I covered everybody on the favorite characters. So I did reach out to our viewers, our fans, and Hot Wing of Justice, Brian Lynch. If people had Hot Wing of Justice on your Cartoonist by Night bingo card for being mentioned in an episode. You can check that space right now. He should just be the free space because I think he's mentioned every episode. Hot Wing of Justice, he says Garfield, so he picks Garfield as a favorite. We have a new answer here, or a new viewer answer. Jevin Loop from Jevin Loop Art on Instagram. He is the creator of Nuke Rooster. At the time of this recording, I'm trying to think, and by the time of the release, I think he had just started the Kickstarter on it, so there's probably time to check it out. Nuke Rooster over on, hey, look at that, Kevin Wolf.
Look at that.
This is a
Nice.
Troy Dongarra new rooster
Yes.
also.
Oh.
So, yeah, this is number one.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, I've got that one as well. And then I had reached out. I have some sketches from Jevin, and but yeah, so Nuke Rooster number 3 is up on Kickstarter right now. Check that out. I think that one had just started, so that one should have some time to fund, and you have the options to get issue 1 and 2 as well to catch up. But Jevin Loop writes in, and he goes Zitz. Zitz is his favorite when it comes to comic strip.
It's good.
It's an Ohio guy. What's the character? What's the guy's name? Jim Borgman. He was a political cartoonist for the Cincinnati Enquirer, and I met him once because Wilmington has a college, and Jim Borgman's son went to Wilmington College, and we had like an independent bookstore, and he showed up and did like a little meet and greet sort of thing.
Oh, fun.
My brother Adam, he chimed in, and Garfield is his choice. I think he's mentioned it in a couple other episodes too. Whenever he has a chance to mention Garfield, he'll take it. And this one actually fits pretty well. So yeah, Adam's choice is Garfield. And then we have Lavi, who, if you check the feed on Cartoonist by Night on YouTube, is our most recent release prior to this one here, talking and drawing Disney villains. Lavi chose Calvin and Hobbes. So there's some Calvin and Hobbes showing off here. They're coming out with these new, I think they're calling them like the travel size compendiums.
Yeah.
The portable ones. So yeah, there's a slipcase, and they got volume 1 and volume 2 in that in that awesome format there. So yeah,
We bought those for my daughter so that she doesn't mess up my super nice hardcovers.
Right.
very good idea.
Good idea, yeah.
And then we also have an awesome cartoonist, Matthew Hansel, had chimed in. I believe this is the first time he's chimed in on Cartoonist by Night. He says it's a tie between Hagar, and if you follow Matthew Hansel's social feeds over on Instagram, he's like inking Hagar like every single day. I don't know if that's like a warm-up project or something. He works with what I think American mythology with like Three Stooges and Underdog comics and stuff. You look at his page and it looks like he's like would be an inker for Hagar, unless that's his hobby or something. But yeah, so he goes a tie between Hagar and Shoe.
Shoe, yeah, I like Shoe. I like the drawing of that, yeah.
And then to promote another Kickstarter, which I know will be wrapped by the time this episode is out, but for us here at the show, there's still time to get in on it. Winston Gambro, he was a guest on the Crimson Cowl Comic Club podcast that I host, and Chicago artist that I met. And he has a graphic novel called Lights in the Sky, or I think it's like a one-shot oversized issue. Lights in the Sky, about some aliens. He had actually reached out looking for some proofreaders, so I actually read the thing a couple months ago. It is really awesome. So check out Lights in the Sky. I hope I'm saying that right. Lights in the Sky. Winston Gambro over on Kickstarter. But his answer is, first time commenting here, Get Fuzzy or Wallace the Brave.
I don't know
Get
that
Fuzzy
one.
is really good.
Yeah, Get Fuzzy's really funny.
Yeah, Wallace the Brave was one too that I was not familiar with, and I was
Me neither.
I think that's an East Coast title. There's a documentary on YouTube I recently watched about that. It's really really good. Yeah.
Yeah, anytime I don't know something, I usually just assume D. Brad's going to chime in with the info. But thank you, Kevin, for
I don't know that one at all.
good. So yeah, those are those two answers there. And then I have one here over on Facebook. Kirby, Kevin Kleinons. We'll be talking about Kirby later on in the show. We got some stuff set up to mention him as well. So here's his answer for when I asked him favorite newspaper comic strip. He goes, Beetle Bailey was my must read along with Blondie, and then also The Amazing Spider-Man was his favorite comic book style strip. And then he
Yeah.
goes, as time went by, like Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes, Garfield, of course. The Far Side, Mother Goose, and Grimm, and Lockhorns became must-reads and for newer greats, he has to give it to Pickles and Simon's Cat.
Simon's Cat. I only know that as an animation.
So, yeah. So thank you to everybody who answered that. It's always cool to hear some, especially hearing some different answers in there, too.
Yeah, and all you who wrote in will get the free home edition of Cartoonist by Night.
That's right. Yes, and if you didn't write in, you missed out on a year supply of turtle wax. Let's check in with some drawings before we move on to our next. We're going to switch over to Kevin Wolf in our next discussion. But Kevin, if you want to, you already showed off Hagar, but what have you been drawing in the meantime?
Yeah, so I worked on a little quick sketch of kids slap shots. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Troy's Kids Slap Shot, this is issue number 1 from Keen Spot. So he typically has this hoodie type of cap on, and if you go back to the original, I think this is a one shot. Yeah, this is the original one shot, and I forget the year on this. I can look inside briefly. I think this came out obviously before it got picked up by Keen Spot.
Talking maybe like 2018, 2019?
Yeah, I'm not seeing a date on the inside. Oh, here we go. Yeah, 2019, July. And so in this one shot, you have, here's a large image of what Kid Slapshot looks in profile. And then also here's another view of him unmasked. Now, I'm not sure if he's kept this face design into the current issues. I think he has, but I didn't go back and double check that. So here's what I'm working on right now. So here's just a rough sketch of Kid Slapshot, sort of a square, rounded square face. And then I'm working on mashing them up with Hagar here. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's going to be great, even though we were hoping Troy was going to be here. But yeah, I think the internet failures won out this battle. But this will be a fun surprise for him to check out the episode here. All right, and then Matt Rodgers, check in on your drawings there.
As a companion piece, I don't know what his name is, but it's Hagar's little buddy.
Ah, yeah.
I got him. I drew the king from the Wizard of Id.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
We got one of the BC guys.
Yeah.
Got a Dick Tracy that I haven't put any hair on yet. And we got Hagar the Horrible's wife.
Is it Helga?
Helga,
I
yeah.
believe it's Helga.
Even if it's not Helga, that's at least a 90% chance that it's Helga. So
Yeah, that's right.
And she's supposed to be modeled after his wife, obviously, Dick Brown's wife. And I was looking last night to see if there's any frontal straight-on view of Hagar's wife, and it's very seldom. She's almost always in profile.
Oh, yeah?
Interestingly, yeah.
check in with D. Brad. I see a Popeye over there.
Yeah, he's hard to draw. But, good thing I had the drawing book with steps. Yeah,
Is it one of those classic drawing books that's like, draw a circle, draw another little circle, and then it just shows like the final version.
And then you got it. You're done.
it's got
How to
a
draw a monkey, draw a circle.
it's got a few more steps than that, but it is kind of like that. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see.
But then I did also Broomhilda. I don't know if you guys know Broomhilda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Hagar's wife, right? Oh, wait.
Speaking of Hilda, Helga, whatever.
I hit another admit button for Troy, so in 15 minutes we may see his screen pop up and disappear.
All right.
Okay, jumping in on mine. I've been really digging this. I think it's been turning out. Hold on, Troy's name just popped up, so we'll see if this. Okay. Anyways, I really been digging this. I've been watching the camera, making sure. I think you can see more of my process now. I have Snoopy almost completely inked. I got Beetle ink down there. I did a different layer for the doghouse in the background. And before we lose Troy, let's jump over to Troy. Welcome to Cartoonist by Night, Troy. Done
Hey, Troy.
Hi. I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's just really weirding out on me. So
well.
if I disappear again suddenly, sorry.
Well, while we have you, let's try to get some information. Favorite comic strip or character? Newspaper comic strip or character?
Different ones for different points in my childhood. At one point, I liked Hagar a lot. Wizard of Id of Id Wizard of Id.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That was one that I liked. I think the one that's lasted the longest would be Calvin and Hobbes or Peanuts, though. So Peanuts I always sort of associate with Christmas. So every Christmas I go on a big Peanuts kick and, looking for Peanuts books and Peanuts specials and stuff like that. But Calvin and Hobbes, Peanuts, Far Side, a lot of them.
Very cool.
Gary Larson recently he started doing Farsight again, and he's working digitally. He went out and got himself a tablet and taught himself how to do it, and he'll sporadically put up new panels.
Oh yeah.
And it makes me mad because you can't even tell that he learned how to use a tablet, because when I first got a tablet, man, my stuff was so bad.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, adapted pretty quick.
Yeah, unless he's been like hiding, learning without letting anybody know.
Just like, I'm gonna show that Rodgers guy just how good I am.
That Rodgers, he's a jerk.
You blockhead. Oh, Troy disappeared. Okay, well,
on the blockhead.
yeah. All right, let's jump over to our main topic at hand here, which is Kevin Wolf from Happy Wolf Art 1 over on Instagram. And so I'm going to jump over to my screen here. So we'll get into this, but before we get into this, we're going to eventually find out how we get to what I'm holding in my hands here, which is To Fight a Hessian, both the comic edition and the short story edition. We'll talk all about that, but you have to start at the beginning. When did you start drawing in your life?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Thank you.
But as a child, obviously a doodler of some sort. I don't have a real strong memory of a starting point per se, but I was talking with my mom earlier today about just the newspapers and memories of us reading the cartoons and stuff. And there was a point early on, I'm not sure how old I was, but I realized in looking at those newspaper comics that there was certain little tricks and trades of the craft to wrap like a sleeve or a cuff around an arm. And I remember trying to mimic that, and it was almost like an aha moment, a light bulb going off, and with just a couple lines you can really make something look shaped in 3D. And so that was early on, and it really continued throughout my childhood, but in high school was really the point where I started focusing and just putting a lot of energy into it during high school. Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of high school, I think these first couple pieces that you had sent me, looking at some art that you did. You want to explain what we're looking at here?
Yeah. So Mr. Kramer was my art instructor, and it was interesting because I took his art class. My goal in high school, so this is when we had to only have 2 years of math, and some of these, I think kids have 4 years of math nowadays. But my goal was for my senior year to have only electives, all my classes, all 6 class of electives. And so art was on that list, and I took his class. I think this was my sophomore or junior year. And I remember he showed a video on Monet, I think it was. And I took out paper and I was taking notes. And he talked to me after class. He said, "Oh, you're really serious about this stuff, huh?" And it was like he had never seen a student, really engaged that much with art and art history. And so he was more into abstract art. And so this image here was a project I did. I think it was my 11th grade year, if I remember correctly. JVHS, Harupa Valley High School is where I went to school. And it's a letterman's jacket. And this was actually an idea he had that I sort of executed. But the idea behind it was these little small square pieces of wood. And what I ended up doing was painting a letterman's jacket on a flat surface, sort of with these checker squares. And then I individually took them apart and glued them together, overlapping each other. So making a bit of a collage type of object. And then you can see sort of the hanger there. And to my knowledge, this still hangs at the school. It used to be one of the things that would stay in the principal's office, regardless of which principal was there. And it was also a new high school, so we were the first graduating class, so that there's that connection. And this particular piece won a number of prizes, at least like high school art show type of prizes. So
Very cool.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Jump over to our next one here, which I believe is still in the high school era, I should say. A 3D in 2D.
Yeah. This one was it was another brainchild of Mr. Kramer's. And he was sort of pushing me in an abstract direction at that time. And we were looking through old photographs of some of the old buildings, the Orange Grove buildings in Riverside, where I grew up, Riverside, California. And he had this one of an old house that descended off into space. So you have obviously a type of perspective here. I'm trying to think. It's essentially like a 1-point perspective, and so it is a flat piece, but because of the way we cut the wood and laid it and stuff, and we got an old electrical box from a house and a for sale sign and stuff, and hung that up. It was a rather large, heavy piece. And I'm not sure what happened with this one. Actually, it stayed with the school for a number of years, and it was so huge and cumbersome. I actually didn't want it, but I let them keep it.
There we go. Looking at the next one here that you sent me, queuing it up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is my junior college years. So building drawing skills. I was studying a lot of the sort of classic masters at that time. And there was a turning point. It happened a little bit after junior college for me, but I was really wanting to go towards realism and as best as I could. But I kept hitting sort of this block or a wall that I couldn't obtain the realism that I wanted in my art. And so this is just a figure study sketch with charcoal, where it captured the person, the character pretty well, but you can obviously see some proportion problems. If you see this, his right shoulder looks like it's out of joint. And his left hand is, you can tell I avoided trying to draw fingers. I just sort of suggested them.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's sort of, I was on that path towards realism on some level at that point.
And then continuing on with the junior college era.
Yeah, and this is a piece that was done. I was living in Ventura, California at the time. California Street is a main street that runs through the town, and that's what the background of this piece. So I was studying some of the masters at that time, you know, Rembrandt and all of these, and working with pastels. And so this was a fun piece. Obviously, it had religious imagery. I'm not Roman Catholic or anything, but you have John the Baptist, obviously Mary and Jesus and stuff. And then you have the hills. The hills aren't actually the hills from Ventura. They're hills from the area I grew up in Riverside. So I was sort of mashing up a couple things there.
Cool, cool. Jump over to the next one, which is coming up right after this. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. This is a stained glass piece, and the reason why I included it here, just regarding an artistic journey, was the teacher that I had, this said that only certain things were allowed or able in stained glass. And it really hit me in a strange way, because in art, I have never had a teacher tell me you can't do certain things in art. And this piece of these hands, the teacher said it's not possible. Don't even try it. Stained glass isn't conducive to this type of work. And so I set out to prove her wrong. And this is what I came up with. And I actually accidentally set the piece on my bed one day, and I sat on it, and I broke it.
Oh no.
So, but I thought it was pretty successful for her telling me that it wasn't possible in stained glass.
Did
Anyway,
she say it was possible after that?
yeah, she was still annoyed about it, but yeah.
Also possible to sit on it too.
Yeah, sit on it and break it.
It's all part of the art.
Yeah.
So we're just going to jump over to this one.
Oh yeah, so for a time I really focused on calligraphy also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
I did that too. My teacher did calligraphy, and so all of grade 6, she taught us all how to do it.
Oh wow. What do you remember what style calligraphy it was, or like black letter or Gothic or Celtic or anything like that? No.
I don't recall what it would be called. I don't know.
Okay.
It looks like that kind.
Yeah. Yeah, this is sort of like a in German it's called Fraktur or fracture, like the letters are fractured. But I think I did have an elementary school class in 4th grade that turned me on to this, and then I revisited that obviously later in my early 20s. So here I was trying to imitate, and I was looking a lot into medieval illumination, the sort of manuscript tradition in Europe in the Middle Ages, and trying to mimic that style. The people here, the images on the side, one of them, the male character with the beard, is taken from the Book of Kells, if you're familiar with that. And then the other two is just, I was renting a room from a family in San Luis at the time, and those were people in the family. And so incorporated them and some of the geometric design. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, looking at the people there and just the style and the colors and just the shapes, I can start to see like, oh, that's a Kevin Wolf thing right there. Like, start seeing some of those recognizable faces.
Style come out.
The styling, yeah.
Okay. I jump over to another one here. Medieval Tales from the Bard, Iron Tongue.
Iron Tongue, yeah. Yeah, so this is actually my first book project, and there is art throughout the book. Not as much as the California Kids, it's more on the chapter pages. So let me try and see here. I can hold up one, for example.
I'll jump out of the screen so we can see that better. Is this the one that's available on Amazon, or at least on
Kindle? Yeah, this is the one that's available on Amazon. So at this time period, I had finished my graduate studies. My background is I have a doctorate in German studies, and I've taught German since 2011 was when I finished all my studies. And my specialization was medieval literature and culture. And so these stories are all short stories, and they're all based on conversion time period. So I was really fascinated with the transition from like ancestral religions to Christianity. So that's where the book comes from, and they're all short stories and fiction and stuff. So,
Man, future Anthony, you need to go back in there and change it to Doctor.
oh no, don't do that. Here's just an it's a weird
Both.
drawing that's in the book. If you can see the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first story is this bard Iron Tongue bard being a singer, and he ends up losing his tongue to a Germanic warlord that cuts it out. And the end story is about him regaining an artificial tongue, but in the Middle Ages. So it's a strange story, but it's a lot of fun. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
I want to take a quick pause here because I'm not sure if I drew Beatles hat or a Jello mold, but I think I'm going to stick with the Jello mold because it just makes it look like I did it then. So I don't know what's happening, but that makes it mine. So
That's
Yeah.
it's better that way because it's just like, well, Mort Walker never drew anything like that. So,
It's hilarious.
yeah, Jello mold Bailey over there. So
here's my mashup, Anthony.
cool. That's awesome.
Love it. That's awesome.
I want to see Cousin It as Hagar the Horrible. That seems like it's already done right there, though. So, Cousin It from the Addams Family. Hey,
Oh,
just because
right.
of the hair and everything, it's like covering his entire face. So.
His eyes, yeah.
And actually, the Addams Family were originally comic strip characters. So there we go.
Right. Yeah.
Hang on point here. Go around. What characters are we looking at over there, Rodgers, on your board there?
They are invented on a whim.
Hmm.
I'm drawing a comic strip.
Nice.
Ah, there you go.
We will see how it goes.
That's all in the moment, improv. Just
Oh.
that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Cool. Jump over to D. Brad.
Forgot a Hagar from the book. And
Love it.
this I was very influenced by Dick Brown and Mort Walker in my drawing style growing up. I can see my characters in him. It's kind of cool.
Cool.
It's kind of awesome that people have like an influence on you, and then it can continue. I can see that I definitely spent a lot of time with those images in my head of Hagar and the Beetle Bailey characters and High and Lois. Yeah, they definitely had a big influence on my drawing style. It's kind of neat.
Love it.
Oh, yeah, Hilda too.
Yeah, see, I was like you, D. Brad. Like, I grew up with comic strips and always wanted to do a syndicated strip,
Yeah,
but born at the wrong time.
yeah, yeah. You could do an online one, I guess. If you really wanted to, you could do an online one.
I did an online strip for a little while, probably about a year,
Yeah.
and it was just like it's one of those things where it's super fun to do, but you're in a sea of people. Like it,
Yeah.
the big ones have been there since the beginning, and it's really hard to like break in and get any sort of readership just because it's like people starting webtoons or whatever. It's like, you're not Lore Olympus, man. You're not gonna like they already got that. But there's always breakthrough stuff.
Yeah, there is.
It's just harder now. I mean, I make a comic book, and that's like one of the most full fields ever.
All right. I did get a update from Troy. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of internet problems, so it looks like he is submitting to the battle right now. So we had him for a little bit. We got his answer and some favorite comic strips. but we'll talk more about Troy as we get into this episode here by talking to him again about Kevin Wolf. And now, if I'm trying to think if all of our guests so far that we've been having all have an oh yeah connection, which I think they do, whether it's somebody who has worked with them or is a fan of them, met them through oh yeah comics community. Kevin Wolf is one of those as well. We talked about it a couple episodes back with Eric Wolfgang, and we've seen it play out live on a Catching Up with Franco show, the battle of Wolfie Boy and Wolf E and Happy Wolf, and there's a lot of wolves. And so we're going to set the record straight. This is Kevin Wolf, Happy Wolf Art, also Wolf E.
Wolfie, yeah.
So your roots into oh yeah comics, can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. So after I finished school, I was a stay-at-home dad for a number of years. My daughter was born shortly after that, and a couple years into her life, I was reading comic books at the time, and I thought I wanted to find something that we both can read together, something very cartoony and enjoyable. And so let's see, I have a couple references here that I was going to show. So I went into my local comic book shop. I was living in Bakersfield, California at the time. If you don't know, Bakersfield, California is called the armpit of California. It's
There could be a couple of worse things.
yeah, yeah. So and the reason why they call that is all the smog pools, because of the mountain ranges around there, pools in that area. So anyways, I went to my local comic book shop and I came across, this is my well-loved
Yes.
Teen Titans. So I wasn't on board. I didn't know about Art Baltazar during his complete run of Tiny Titans, but Return to the Treehouse was the storyline that I jumped on board for that run. And so it's sort of interesting to look back at this. The first 5 years of my daughter's life, I only spoke to her in German. And so in reading this comic book, I translated, you can see my German translations of the English.
Oh, look at that.
And I was trying to get a step ahead, and so I didn't have to translate on the spot for her. But anyway, so that was my introduction to art, and I have obviously this complete series here. And then I came across there's a famous video of that Art put out about how he sort of broke into the business and just sort of got his footing as an artist. Super inspirational. You guys have probably seen it. I think it's like a 9-minute video.
We've
Yeah, I
talked.
think it's-
Yeah, and I think it references some of that content is in the Big Amoeba comic book that he put out. And so I came across that and just love his style, love his storytelling and stuff. And then what I have here, this is one of the earliest sort of, I want to unroll it. This was my daughter and I, we painted it together and had it on the wall of our living room.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she put her little sparkles and beads on it and stuff, some that have fallen off. So yeah, that's sort of how I discovered art. And
Well, that's a perfect segue into my natural progression of this interview, was that eventually you became a fan of Troy and Kid Slapshot. Now, with Troy, we are welcoming back to the episode. Welcome, Troy. How's it going?
Hey!
I'm here for as long as the internet stays alive over here.
Okay, so we're going to take advantage of this time and talk about how you came across Troy Dongarra and his work.
oh, that's a good. I'm not sure I remember how I first saw his work. It may have been advertised in it. Was it? I don't know if you had advertisements in Art Baltazar's comics.
So,
No, but it
No?
may have been on the I Like Pink Very Much Facebook group.
Oh, that could be.
So I would post in there periodically. and Kirby from Crimson Cowl and Anthony like momentarily took credit as the creators of Kid Slapshot and
Yeah.
got some what do you call it, some publicity for it on there. So that very well could have been like on one of their live streams.
Oh
Could have
yeah.
been where you heard about it. The two of them talking about how they came up with the idea and everything. It was a great interview.
What?
During an All Yeah Comics podcast, I had brought it up because those guys never really plug their own work, or they always forget to. 'Cause they're just in the mode of talking, they're just friends hanging out. So I had mentioned like, oh, in the previous catalog, there's this thing called Kid Slapshot, and there's I think was it Art and Scoot covers, I think, for the first ones.
Oh,
Kirby from Under the Color of MS and Crimson Cowl Comic Club. He's the one that brought it to my attention because Kirby being, also a yeah fan, being a fan of hockey and all that stuff. So that's where I jumped on board because I'm like, well, I'm getting it for these art covers. I have no idea what any of this other stuff is. Turns out, I'd really dig it. So that's what I'm wondering too, if some of that origins, that all stemmed through Oh Yeah Comics. So you would eventually get some, or your daughter would, I believe, some art. So if you guys want to, feel free to kind of run with the conversation. I'm going to just draw in color. So
Yeah, I don't know if Troy, if you remember that or not, but
Yeah, she elaborated on Looky Lou's pad and gave him like a pull and a high dive.
right. Yeah.
And
Oh, and it had the pink what's the bird? Pink the flamingo. Oh, it had a flamingo blow up.
oh yeah, like an inflatable flamingo.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was creative. I liked it. I
yeah,
thought
it was a cool piece.
I think I had made a comment to her. I don't know if it was in the book or if it was online, but if we ever revisit Looky Lou's house, we're we're, we're gonna have the high dive.
Right. We're gonna have to add a pool to it.
Yeah.
I forget what issue it was in. You put it in the news comic strip, right? I think Anthony, you had a piece in there if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was on either side of the poster. So if
Oh,
you just flip to the middle where the poster is, it'll be on either the front or the back of the
I
poster.
remember that. Yeah.
myself and Kirby, I think we're in that issue as well.
Yeah, I think Kirby had one.
Yeah, maybe it was in the Lunatic versus Lunatic. So I'm flipping through to try and find it. But while we have you here, Troy, so we have Hagar.
Oh, Hagar, nice.
We have Unmasked Kid Slapshot.
Yeah.
And then a mashup. So
Nice. I
Yeah.
dig it.
but what I was saying earlier, I'm not sure if you stayed with that original face look from the original comics to the newest Kid Slapshot.
Sort of. In the last two, there's just little bits where he's in there without a mask on, and it's essentially the same face. Yeah.
Okay. Might be on this one. Kid Slapshot. Yeah, here's the piece that you can see the pool there.
There it is.
Yeah. So yeah, she was really jazzed. So thank you for including that. She was super excited to have that in a comic.
Absolutely. Well, she did a great job. She deserves to get in there.
Yeah.
She did awesome.
And then since I came across Kid Slapshot, I obviously have had contact with you off and on online, and some commission pieces that you did for me. I didn't know it at the time, but I think you later said on an episode, when people commission a piece, you don't like it to be too specific at some point. I think you said.
Yeah.
And looking back, I think my first commission, I don't know if it was too specific, but I remember you ended up really liking sort of the results of what it was. So my thought was to incorporate, everybody knows this image, right?
Sure.
Adam,
Yeah.
Adam Baum from the Garbage Pail Kids, and then Live Mike was another one that was really influential when I was younger. And then Troy did this piece here of
Hey, I recognize that.
Kid Slap
Yeah.
Shot, and just an incredible piece. And
Nice.
you since put it on a shirt.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a couple people got them.
Yeah,
I think I
Shirt
put
I
it up
have.
initially just for you, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then, but I think before I took it down, like I left it up there for you for a little bit, and before I took it down, somebody else got one.
Yeah,
So there,
That's funny.
your shirt is floating around on
yeah.
somebody else's closet somewhere. I wish I knew who, but
Mine.
Yeah.
is it you?
Yeah, I bought one.
Oh, cool.
Oh, good. That mystery's been solved quickly.
Ah,
Yeah, the
that's
shirts,
awesome.
the shirts in the back. It's probably too far away to see, but I have them on the couch back there, and so I'm wearing Art's shirt today. But
Cool. Art, art,
Troy
art,
was
art.
yeah, Troy was kind enough to let me. I had colored it, I think, on my
Mhm.
iPad, and I forwarded that to you, and I think you used a version of that, or if not, the same version. And
I think it's the exact same thing you sent me is what I posted up there for you.
yeah, so I was super jazzed about that. And then this is the second commission piece that Troy did for me is Kid Slapshot doing a hand plant on a skateboard.
Awesome.
Super fun.
Nice.
And your buildings and wall work, I remember you telling me no straight lines for building.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't do it. Can't handle rulers. There's enough reality in reality.
Yeah,
Don't need it in the cartoons.
they look great. It gives them a lot of character, and they're
Oh,
just super fun. So
thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was glad that Troy was able to make it back in here because, yeah, having you two meet, for the first time, for having that connection, kind of the back and forth, and seeing the art in the Kid Slapshot books and everything. So,
yeah,
once again, another example of the Comics community finding a way and finding each other and creating new.
Now, Kevin has some comic projects that he's got too. Was
Yes.
it California Kids Summer?
yeah.
Then there's a history-based one.
So yeah, that is part of the next tier, which is a great segue. So we're going to jump over to that, talking about. We'll first start with the comic and the short story for "To Fight a Hessian." Once again, I and Kirby have both reviewed this on the Crimson Cowl Comic Club. Kirby did another take on it for Under the Color of MS. But let's hear it from the man himself, talking about how you got to tell the story in both of these formats. So take it
Oh
away.
yeah. Oh sure. Well, I've been working on the California Kids project for a number of years. I think it started in 2016, and it's a longer it's actually in prose. There's art with it. It's not a comic book, unfortunately. But this project was me wanting to do a more comic type of work, something that I can start and finish relatively quickly. And I just started scribbling ideas one day. And so it is autobiographical in the sense that it touches on some events in my childhood, and a particular conflict with this kid, Eddie. So that's the character Eddie there. And he's sort of a mixture of actually three people that design. So I had a elementary school friend named Yancey, and he was a metalhead guy, and he sort of had a reddish hair, a lot of hair. Then it's also a mixture of the kid Eddie that I had the conflict with, and also Danny Bonaducci in the 70s. Awesome. He was also a little visual reference. So yeah, it's just me retelling the tale of this conflict. So that's the autobiographical part, but it's mixed with fiction and also some pop culture references. So there's a little appearance of the Hulk in there. and or a Hulk, I guess you can say that, a Hulk,
Yeah.
or a person who's hulked out.
That's
I
a
don't
good
know
one. Yes.
if you have that one, Anthony, or not, but um, I have it here on my iPad too, so I could hold it up, but it's a particular image that I like a lot. So
I'm flipping through here.
this is a colored version of it.
Okay, yep, that's what you're showing. So we'll show both.
Yeah,
Nice.
there you go. And so you have the black and white version of the story. I've since colored it. So what I've done is these are my copies. So the red cover, what I've done, that's the colored copy of that, of the comic now, which Anthony, you and Kevin only had the black and white. So I've since colored it. And then I have the black and white one with the black and white cover, right? And then this other version, the green one, is actually the prose story. And it's, what is it? Maybe 10 pages with story notes and stuff like that. But I think both you and Kirby
Yep.
mentioned it was because I didn't know what is a good reading order. And I think you both agreed reading the comic, right?
Well, we both actually had the opposite. Like, I was like, oh, I think it worked as both ways, and he had,
Oh,
I forget which the way it was, but I think it works both ways, and I think that proves it because Kirby had one opinion of it, I had the other opinion, showing that I think they both work. So,
oh, so you read the prose first?
I think so. I
Okay.
don't hold me to it because I know there's a video online that tells me exactly what I said. Future
Yeah.
Anthony, future Anthony, I'm not going to make you go and figure that out. But whatever way it was, um, basically, I'll say this: if I see a movie that was based on a book, but I didn't read the book, there are times when I'll just go see that movie because it's now out in theaters. I'm not going to read the book quick enough before it's out of theaters. Um, but if I like something, like Silver Linings Playbook was a movie that I saw because I love the actors in it. I went to see it. I'm like, oh, this is really good. I went right to Target and I bought the book and I read that book in one sitting that night right after getting from the
Wow.
movie because I'm like, well, I have the movie, I have it all playing in my head, and now I just get more of the story. So looking at the comics version, either way, if you just read the quick short story comic, and now you have a whole prose thing where you can just kind of just get a little more details and kind of live in it a
Sure.
little more. But
Yeah.
I think it works back and forth of complementing each other.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to do is really provide sort of multiple experiences. So the comic book itself is relatively short. It's 10 pages, so it's a quick read. It feels to me like after you read the prose and you go back over the comic, it feels almost like in fast forward, like it's a fast forwarded version of the prose. And then I've included also just the sketches. So these are just the loose pencils for those of you who like process type of stuff.
I love
And
processes.
Absolutely.
yeah,
I think everybody that's sort of into art is into those process doodles and drawings.
Yeah.
I think those
Yeah.
are awesome.
and it's always amazing to me how or just in general how artists, but our sketches often are sort of ugly and oftentimes unrecognizable. I mean, there are some artists that are just if you're a Disney animator or something, right? You look at their loose sketches and they look like masterworks, but
Yeah.
um, so it's
Yeah.
really always neat to see those stages. And then at the very back, I have art notes, or in the prose version, I have story notes. And so I go in depth into sort of some things that I was thinking as a kid going through this experience, or family sort of values or lack thereof or whatever. So anyways, I hoped it was a fun, interesting read for those that are interested in that type of thing.
Yeah, and I think it was Kirby that talked about too the like when you look at the comic page, and there is a compliment wrapped up in this, so don't just give up on what I'm about to say here. like it's very jumbled, and you see just like there's no panel structure, and you're just kind of like looking around, just being like all right, what like this not like a mess, but it's just like where am I supposed to go? But everything that is structured in there, um, it just naturally just like kind of ping pongs you back and forth, and now you jump over here. Like you did such a good job of creating a flow of that with the art and the words without having the specific panel and word balloon, direction. So
Directions. Yeah, thank you for that. I know that when I started the project, if you look at the first 2 pages, maybe even 3, it is pretty strictly panel structure. And then I got this feeling that the story couldn't be told within borders of a panel. Especially when the action starts happening and people are moving and making sort of these quick decisions, the art itself just sort of broke out of that traditional structure. I tried to really direct the viewer's eyes with action and word balloons and stuff like that. And so I hope that was successful, and it sounds like it was a bit. So
very much so. Let's quickly jump over to Troy because you thankfully your video screen is working as well. Jumping. So you want to talk about what you dove into here?
I was sort of trying to do Calvin from memory, but it's not working out. So
Well,
I guess
I'll
I'm
just
just doodling a Calvin-ish or esque
I'll just
type
say that
character.
I knew it was Calvin immediately, so you at least accomplished that. So
Nice.
you weren't here to let me cut back to my screen. You weren't here when I talked about how instead of a hat, I decided to give Beetle Bailey a Jello mold to put on his head. So
Okay.
I say just lean into your artistic direction, just go with it. So
I completely see a Jello mold now.
yeah.
jumping over to Kevin again here. Now, I don't have any of the next materials that we're going to be talking about, but it's going to be something that is coming out very shortly, and you've got some show and tell. But you've been working on the California Kids, and to kind of launch into the description of what that is, I'm going to use another question from Kirby from Under the Cowl of MS to guide us through that discussion. He goes, wouldn't mind knowing how much of Kevin's childhood friends slash enemies slash experiences have influenced the characters in the California Kid stories. Now we heard about, Eddie and everything with the Hessian
Yeah.
story. So kind of, let's use that as a jumping on point to talk about the California Kids.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a good question. Trying to think. There are a number of sort of childhood experiences that do play into the story. But I would say the majority of the experiences or the adventures that the kids go on are not related to my childhood per se. It's me sort of exploring California, the geography of California, its history, and stuff like that. It's cultural history also. But there are a few that play in there, or family members or friends that I've known that have had certain experiences. But it's not autobiographical like To Fight a Hessian is. So
so you are in like the final stages of getting ready to release that to the world. So if you got some show and tell and kind of talk about your rollout process, and I think it's very unique to the story of the in-home production of these titles.
yeah, that's another part of it too. Is I'm not ready to shop it around, and I'm not sure that I want to. I sort of want to keep it close to home. And as I mentioned to you, Anthony, in a previous conversation, I really like sort of the 70s underground sort of comic movement where it wasn't this, there wasn't an in-between person, right? A lot of the comics were made sort of at home in this zine style. And so part of me wants to keep this stuff very close to home and just sell it, online. And as I do art festivals and stuff like that, they do art in the park up here. I don't know if that's in other places.
Oh, I know.
There's something similar around here.
Yeah, that type of thing where I'm meeting people and making connections with people personally, and then this is sort of what I've done type of thing. And
Huh.
but yeah, I do have some images of the kids. So this is the Beach Kids group,
Cool.
and I can give some background to the different groups also. These are called the Peer Kids, and you'll obviously notice that each of these kid groups are different ethnic groups too, so that plays a role in the story, different cultural and ethnic groups. We have the Park Kids. Here's an image of the Park Kids.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I've got that one too on my
Yeah.
my share screen here, and I think
Oh, okay. And then these are the Canoe Kids, and I only have three. I think I'm going to design one more. Let me actually minimize this one a little bit. These are the Canoe Kids, and sort of the idea behind the story is sort of the Little Rascals. If you think of these childhood adventure stories, Stand By Me, the movie,
Yeah.
which is sort of what's the word? Not depressing, but it's about a death, right? They're going to go see a dead body.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
There are no dead bodies in this story, by the way.
Okay.
But they're just kids going out on adventures. Fat Albert, also the cartoon, right, in the 70s. That was
Yeah.
a huge influence.
Yeah, I love those kind of when kids ran free.
Yeah. Right. When he grew up, I think that's part of he mentioned Kirby's upbringing, right? He was very much an outside kid, and The Sandlot, the movie The Sandlot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just love those types of stories. So yeah, it centers primarily on the Beach Kids, and then they're exploring to the south of them, and also to the north, and then to the east. And part of the settlement history of California is definitely these waves of different groups into California, or they were already here, obviously, like the Californian Indian tribes, the various tribes. And so these kids are interacting. They're obviously having some conflicts, because what's a story without conflicts? And then ultimately they're coming together as a group. Not everybody, because I don't think that's realistic, but most of them are coming together into sort of this modern picture of California, who California is. So
That's cool.
yeah.
And so yeah, you are in the final stages of kind of getting this ready for the public. So if people were to, and we'll cover plugs at the end proper too, but if people were interested in something like this, how can they get their hands on the Hessian and the California Kid stories?
Yeah, the best way would just be through Instagram to contact me. And so on the back of these, I have, yeah, there you go, the URL and my the name Happy Wolf Art. And if you look at, once I say this, I think Troy said this, I won't not be able to see it again. If you read Happy Wolf and then move art closer to the F.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Happy Wolf Fart. So anyways, yeah, contact me through Instagram. Also, they can contact
What is wrong with me?
Troy, sometimes your thoughts should stay the thoughts and not become words.
I know. Why? Why do I say things out loud?
Sorry, Troy. I hope that was okay today.
Yeah, no, that's why.
So yeah, definitely check out this QR code that I'm holding up. It should be scannable through the television set or your iPad or your tablet or your microwave, however you watch Cartoonist by Night. But yeah, that's definitely the way to reach out to Kevin. Myself and Kirby had done that, where we got the black and white editions of the To Fight a Hessian, as well as some other goodies. And just because what I have nearby here, you sent this along in there. I think there were some, I forget, was there some stickers and stuff too, but there There's some other things I think floating around in there. I forget which.
Yeah, there were some cards and stuff
Card,
like that, and yeah, like trading cards. So this is an image of the first part of the story. Summer begins, and obviously has California and the California state flower, and then the second part of the story is Journey South, and it has the Park Kids part, and so there's four parts total, but I'm on sort of a trajectory of it takes me about a year per part to do these. So these smaller comic book projects are actually to me more fun, and I get done with them quicker. So I'm wanting to go that route while I'm working on these in the background. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
I dig it.
Is the
I love
California
the,
Kids comic and prose too?
it's not a comic. I originally started it as a prose project,
Yeah.
and I wish it, but I wonder. Part of me wonders whether it would work as a comic or not. I think it'd have to be a very abridged version of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then a couple other things that I can show regarding this, for those, like, if some people may not be too interested in reading a prose version. I have these little coloring books that I'm gonna put out, and so this is like the Beach Kids coloring books, and it has their characters in them, just little drawings that kids can color.
oh, cool.
And each of these kid groups, one other thing that I didn't say about them is they discover some ancestral item. So like the Beach Kids, they discover a coin.
Wow.
And these items have transformative powers, and they gain warrior powers. So
Oh.
these kids all turn into sort of Viking, barbarian, Celtic type of warriors. And then the Pier Kids, because they have a different ancestral and cultural tradition, they have, like, this is one of the girls, her ancestors actually come from South America, where the piranhas in the Amazon
Oh yeah.
live. And so they have these elements of these ancestral cultures in their warrior attire. And it ultimately tells something about their family history. And actually in the story, the families, the ancestors in the past, it doesn't come up too often, but they actually have interconnected stories too. So anyways, it's not super detailed, but it's there.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah,
Good
definitely a lot of heart going into that, a lot of planning, and definitely respect that.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, once again, reach out to Kevin Wolf through the Instagram. We've got the QR code here if you want to learn more about that and obtain copies yourself. And once you had made a post about that, and I asked you when that stuff was getting ready, because we were already invited you onto the show, and we figured it'd be a good time to help promote that and advertise it, especially since you're doing and doing it all at home and stuff, and kind of doing the all the work yourself. So
yeah, definitely. If there were for some reason a bunch of mass orders, I wouldn't be able to do it at home, but as orders trickle in and stuff, I can do that from home for sure. And I'm looking at they're ready now theoretically, so I could print them out now, but I probably will make a post towards the end of this month officially announcing. I think I want to put together some like package type of things, because with postage, right, things get costly as you start shipping things through the mail and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah.
And for those wondering, he's referring to at the end of April 2024, just to put a date stamp on that for the time of this recording, for by the time you want that out. Cool. We're gonna switch gears over to the newspaper comics again. This next question here is from me. It's a little self-serving because I have a direct answer, so I will kick it off and hopefully buy some time for everyone to think of something. Now, if there was, what comic strip would you like to see as like a live action thing? Even if there's been sort of, like a Garfield thing or whatever, what comic strip do you want as a live action adaptation? And as a little bonus, who would you cast as like the title character? So while you think about those answers, I'll give you my prepared one. I've said this for years to myself. I don't think I've told anybody else, but DJ Qualls, actor DJ Qualls as Beetle Bailey, I think would be perfect. Like seeing, or Matt Rodgers, I think, just if you want to get.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it. Pull down that hat.
Yep. Hold on. There we go, Matt Rodgers. So if DJ Qualls is busy, Matt Rodgers, I'm going to cast you as Beetle Bailey. But
Okay.
I think that would be a fun thing, and I could definitely see, the movie could be good, it could be bad, who knows? But I think like whenever I started seeing DJ Qualls, I'm just like, he could play Beetle Bailey, I think, perfectly. So
I'm surprised they never made a Beetle Bailey.
Well, see, the thing that's weird is like so many of the older strips are kind of like in the same vein as stuff that already exists. Like there's F Troop with Gomer Pyle. That's kind of like Beetle Bailey. You know what I mean? Like very similar structure there.
Sad Sack. They made a Sad Sack movie with Jerry Lewis.
And then I was thinking like, man, it'd be really cool to have like a Dagwood and Blondie show. And I was like, well, that's the Honeymooners.
Well, there was a Dagwood and Blondie show, and a whole movie series.
Yeah.
And they did a bunch of animated specials, and I guess they were like shockingly
live action,
super religious too. Yeah.
Hmm.
The cartoons that I saw had like really, really strong like Catholic undertones and like blatant Catholicism stuff, which when you read the strips, you don't get that feeling at all.
For Blondie?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. It's kind of like in that vein, like there's Peanuts, the Peanuts Christmas special.
Yeah.
You read Peanuts and you never think religion at all. And then the Christmas special comes out and Linus has his big long speech and you're just like, where did that come from?
Well, the character of Linus does have quite a bit of theology, but he also has a lot of philosophy too.
Right.
And I remember
he's got some very skewed theology there. He's at once he's a Christian monk, but at the same time he's looking for like this pumpkin ghoul to rise from the pumpkin patch.
Yeah, that's right.
And he brings the little neighbor girl from next door as a sacrifice for said pumpkin ghoul.
Oh man. Oh dear.
I think they tried to convince Schultz to take that out of the animated special, if I remember correctly, and he insisted on it.
And then the other thing that's weird is like I just recently learned this, but there's deleted scenes from the Christmas special where one of them is them throwing rocks at like Coke bottles. And it was because I guess like I think it's Coke, but they helped like finance the cartoon.
Yeah.
And Schultz didn't want that in there because the whole message about the movie is like the commercialism of Christmas.
That's right.
And then they're doing like blatant product placement in it.
Right. That's funny.
But
anybody else have any ideas that come to mind if you want a live action thing or actors to play the comic strips?
I don't generally like live action versions of cartoons. I would love to see animated versions of them, of the comic strips, rather. That's what I'd rather see.
Is there one that comes to mind that you think deserves that treatment?
I've seen some good ones, like Over the Hedge from DreamWorks. That was an adaptation of the Over the Hedge comic strip.
Really?
And that was good. And the Peanuts one I enjoyed.
Yeah, that new 2015 Peanuts, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
where they had to build 2 3D models of Charlie Brown because his profile doesn't match the straight on version of his face, so they had to like morph it so that his eyes lowered.
Yeah.
I think the kid from Stranger Things did the voice of Charlie Brown in that.
Oh yeah?
I think Noah Schnapp, the guy that played Will.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what
I love that they use real kid voices. That's great.
Yeah, and word has it that when he was in the Upside Down for the entire first season, that's when he recorded it because he was never on screen. It was just like all my actor friends just get to be in the show, and I get to be in the first and last episode. So I'm just going to record, a Peanut special. Well,
why not?
So I thought you were going to go multiverse on it and be like, Indiana Jones is actually Han Solo's dreams when he's in Carbonite.
Wait, what? It's amazing.
That's a theory that I heard one time, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, man, I'm trying to think. Like everything I look at, I'm just like, as much as I
Although
like
I did
Pogo,
see, I know this isn't a comic strip, but yeah, sometimes it can. I've seen like they did add an adaptation of Peanuts with adults playing the kids for the musical on Broadway.
Oh,
But that wouldn't work as a movie. It'd be weird seeing adults play the kids. So it could work with real kids. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Peanuts could work as a real person movie live action. Yeah.
there was. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, sorry. It's another topic that's sort of related to that, though. So go ahead, Anthony, if you're going to say
All,
something.
all I was going to say on the live action Peanuts front is that when Riverdale became famous or popular, um, on the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon, they did a Dark Peanuts parody. So you can
Right.
find it on YouTube probably. It's like a 10-minute thing. And it's a
Right.
Riverdaleized version of Peanuts, and it's pretty hilarious. So
Mm.
if you do want to see what grown-ups would look like as live action Peanuts in a
Oh, yeah.
Riverdale setting,
All right, I'll check it out.
it's pretty funny.
Yeah. I think I don't have any casting, but I think a Prince Valiant like hour-long TV show would be cool.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah.
Um, or like a Steve Canyon adventure show would be really cool.
Yeah.
Or
They did back in the day make those versions back in the 50s. But
yeah, I think I saw. I think they're on Prime for
yeah.
streaming.
Yeah, that's right. They are. Something like that. Yeah. One of those free Roku ones I have too, have them. And Flash Gordon ones, those are fun. And Buck Rogers.
Yeah,
They could make American Splendor could be a movie. You could have Paul Giamatti play Harvey
Yeah,
Pekar.
that's
That'd
right.
be good.
Yeah. You're onto something there.
They could make a Muppets movie based on the strip.
well, I'm glad you brought it up because that goes into
On the Muppet strip?
Rodgers just wants to see that one panel with Piggy.
Yeah, dude, man, that panel's so good.
Right.
So I had a couple other show and tell things, so that's a good segue. We talked about the Muppets episode. If you did not watch the Muppets episode, go back, check it out with Brian Lynch from Hot Wing of Justice. But we talked about the Guy Gilchrist Muppet comic strips here. So there's a bunch of digests there that I'm showing off. Talked about some Dennis the Menace. They got these cool, just these block, just these square bound,
Yeah, so I have that back here.
yeah, the dailies. There we
Yeah,
go.
mine are hardcover ones.
Yeah, so
Oh
that,
yeah,
that there's a staple in the
like me a
collection.
hardcover. Oh.
Settle down, Troy. Settle down.
Troy, remember that talk earlier when I mentioned there's some thoughts that should
Every time he does that, we're gonna pop you out of this Zoom meeting.
Don't worry, my internet will do it for you.
I think D. Brad talked about having all like 67 volumes of the Peanuts or how many there's out there. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm enjoying them a lot. They're really good.
yeah, so I've been diving into the hardcover versions and stuff. So I got those in the collected, and I keep going through the pile. Archie was one of our early episodes
Yeah.
here on Cartoonist by Night, but there's 2 volumes here of the swinging 60s, and I don't know if it is the 70s for the next volume. I don't have it near me here, but I've got it in the case. But
Yeah.
yeah, these ones collecting the Archie newspaper comic strips as well, and
Also the first year too.
oh yeah, I don't
Oh,
have
yeah,
that
that-
one. I just have the Betty and Veronica covered one.
It looks like the
And Sundays,
Oh, nice.
all color one.
Roger,
Oh,
what do you
wow.
got there?
I got a book from 1970 called Charlie Brown and Charlie Schultz.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like a little history book. Has like photos, Charlie Brown Boulevard. And it's just
Nice.
like it's just a little history about him, and if you ever wanted to see Charlie Brown as a baby.
Yes,
pretty
King.
cool.
A bit. He still looks like a baby.
I didn't know that I wanted to see Charlie Brown like a baby until now.
I see Troy's drawing Happy Astronaut. Dennis the Menace down there with that swoopy hair. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you
Right.
think
Without
that,
reference, Dennis the Menace.
it looked
So-
like I said,
Yeah.
called it out. It looks good.
so do you guys think that Charlie Brown's hair, like, because I've always thought that it was just a little squiggle like it is in that new movie.
Mhm.
But then I heard somebody say that if it was like colored properly, that it would be like a little fluff ball on the front of his head.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you think it's supposed to be hair, or do you think it's just supposed to be one hair?
Possibly.
I've never thought about it, but I guess I've only imagined it as one squiggle hair that just kind of.
Like a hairline. You're thinking of a hairline. It's a hairline.
That's
Yeah.
the other way you can look at it. Like it's a puffy hair, and it's
Yeah.
actually, if you put
Because like the
color,
older strips, he actually had like defined hair.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I've always, I was just like, did he just do that for speed? Like, I need to crank these strips out.
Out of all of
But,
us, out of all of us here, I'm the closest one that could experiment with it. So I'll keep a close watch up here and kind of see what happens. If
I mean, I'm almost there with you.
Tuft.
yeah, there is a video on YouTube. It's called 17 Minutes of Charles Schultz drawing Charlie Brown,
Oh yeah.
and it's really sort of a meditative video. It's really intriguing to see him do it, but he does that hair curl, and he'll just do like a loop, and I think it is a speed thing, but it you can tell it evolves over the years.
Well,
So-
this is a good transition to one of the things I had set aside here. So talking about Mort Walker, going back to that, he's got Mort Walker's Private Scrapbook. This is an amazing book. If anybody is a fan of Mort Walker, Beetle Bailey,
Ooh.
this is just it's all like while he was living, and it's basically a scrapbook of his life, going through all these old photos. You see all of his early strips, you see personal work and gifts to other cartoonists, and there's so like even like birthday cards and like he drew on letters that he sent to people. So you see all this stuff from his personal life that was all curated through him while he was alive. This is an amazing source. Now, one thing that comes from here, which he's also shares in a lot of interviews and when he does college talks and stuff, people always want to know. We talked about, Beetle Bailey having the hat down in front of his eyes, and you would never see his eyes. And whenever somebody would ask Mort Walker, he goes, "All right, you know what? And I'm just going to do a cheap version of this. I'm no Mort Walker, but a fun thing that he always did is like, all right, I'm going to show you what Beetle Bailey's eyes look like. So here we go. This is what Mort Walker would do for the audience. And there you go. There's the eyes. Now you know what they look like. But yeah, that's just the gag that he would always like set up people, and you can watch videos on YouTube if he's giving like instructions or whatever, and he sets the person up, and the person's like, "Oh, we're gonna get an exclusive here, and it's gonna be awesome." And then you just see that very hilarious gag. So,
Did he ever show his eyes in the early years? I wonder.
well, I could try flipping through to see for sure, but
I actually know there's one published image of him showing his eyes, and I have it in this book. I have to find the page, so I'll try and find it.
Oh,
So
cool.
this is, yeah, there is one published image of his eyes.
And he had always talked about too about Snorkel. Hold on here. How Snorkel has the one tooth. I don't know if it's coming up on here too well. Let me see if I can bring it up on this other camera here. But Sarge. So Sarge has one tooth that it's getting kind of bright, but there's a tooth hanging off there. And he goes, just depending on where he would draw it, that tooth would just be moving around like from panel to panel. It just reminded me of like what the Richard Lewis from his mole moving around and what Robin Hood Men in Tights, right? Or
Mhm.
just like that
Yeah.
mole. Was it?
I did find the comic strip where his eyes are shown. It's before he's in the army though.
Ooh,
Okay.
got it.
Did you want me to share it or do you want to put it in post?
Yeah.
You could share it.
Okay.
Post Anthony, future Anthony needs a break. So
Okay, there you go.
okay, jumping into. Oh, there they are.
There it is. Yeah.
I
That's
remember
awesome.
seeing that now. Yeah, now that I'm looking at the image, that's awesome.
Okay, yeah, little beady eyes.
And look at his ears too. His ear, the shape really changes in
Yeah.
here.
The thing I watched a video of, I think it was Mort Walker, who took over after he died.
So Greg Walker, his
Brian?
mom.
Was it Brian and Greg? Like, weren't they brothers that took
Yep,
over?
yep.
Yeah, want somebody involved. Because comic strips are drawn, I think 14 by 5 is the size of the board, and then it's 13 by 4 is the actual comic strip size. But he got tired of using a ruler to rule all that out. So he went and he talked to a machine shop and he had them build like a steel template. So he would take his paper, put the steel template on it, and just trace the inside of it so that it would be the perfect size every time. I'm like, I need to make friends with a machinist because I'm sitting
Man
here like,
after my own heart. Figure out a way not to use a ruler.
like measuring out because I'm doing our next book, I'm doing it all on paper. And
Ooh.
it's just like time to measure this out, time to measure this and draw these lines. I'm sitting here like, would it be cheating if I did all the panels and then printed that out on Bristol?
No.
No,
What's his name? I think we talked about this before. Doesn't Scotty Young draws everything on digital, prints it out, and then inks it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I have like, this is just a little practice one, but those are all like hand ruled and hand inked for the panel borders. It's like, ugh.
That takes a long time. Yeah.
It's like, well, I
You're
have 2 hours, time to panel out 2 pages and not actually draw anything.
you're a glutton for punishment, sir.
Yeah, but I can sell them later, hopefully.
That's true.
I'm
That's
hoping
true.
this next number one, haha, nobody knows what it is yet, but I'm hoping that it takes off. We're hitting hard on the publicizing for it, so
Nobody knows.
a
I
few
know.
people know. But
I know. I know
we just
about
turned
it.
in our covers, and here's exclusive for you. We're gonna have one copy of the book that's gonna cost $100.
Oh,
I'll buy it.
It's gonna have a metal cover. Like the actual cover is going to be a piece of metal with
Oh, yeah?
the printed on it.
Oh,
That
wow.
sounds like something I
the
would buy.
steelbook.
Well, if you sell one of those, you'll pretty much break even.
Going off of the Beatle talk and blending that into Kevin Wolf. Now, Kirby has another question, which queues up. I'm going to have a little bit of a setup here before we let Kevin explain it. Kirby, he goes, hold on here. I just had it. I would like to know if there's any information about possible Sunday comics in the future and if we will see more of Beetle Thing. Now, if people don't know what Beetle Thing is, we're going to tell you not only with Kevin explaining it, but also with the share screen that I had so conveniently set up or meant to, but then forgot to. So I'm going to do it right now. I think we got
Oh,
second back.
professional.
I
Oh,
think we
while we're
got-
waiting, it's my chance to sing a song.
Oh yes, it's not a cart. That's another bingo space on the Cartoonist by
Oh
Night
my gosh, he's drawn Andy Cap, everybody.
one. Okay, so here we go. Do you want to talk about what we are looking at here and why this exists? I love that it does.
Oh, sure. Yeah, this is really fun. So Mr. Kleinhans in one of his videos, he mentioned, I think he was reviewing some is it Snarkle?
Snorkel?
D-Grad? Snorkel comics. And he reviewed that comic, and then he immediately went to a Man Thing comic, and he's like, I love both of these. These are just really fun. And I started thinking, how could those two exist like together in an environment? And so I did a piece. When you get grabbed with an idea and you should be going to bed or getting ready for work or doing something. So I stayed up late, and it was a image of Beetle Bailey fishing and him catching Swamp Thing. Or no, I'm sorry, Man Thing. Oh,
I'll edit that out.
yeah, and that's actually the image on the second page. So I did that as and Mr. Kleinhahn said he really loved it, and he asked for a commission piece of it, and so I did a commission for him. And then I started thinking, how can that image come about? What's the story that led up to it? And sort of this is what I came up with here, and I put it as a sort of a Sunday Funnies page. If you see, it's April 1st, right, as sort of an April Fool's joke because it doesn't exist. But and then I made it to look like a newspaper, Happy Wolf Art News. And then Beetle Thing is the title of it. So this is the story that leads up to the image of him actually catching Man Thing. And Man Thing sort of playing with him too, toying with him with his fishing line. So
Man Thing.
And I've got that image in here. I just have to cue it up here. But yeah, when I saw that, you had done the piece and I saw the newspaper thing, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is brilliant. And Kirby wants more. I would say I also want more. But yeah, here we should be looking at page 2, leading up to that image of Beetle fishing there with Man Thing.
yeah. And I put in some of those halftone dots as a little bit of a throwback. And then Mr. Kleinhahn said, the one thing I would add to it, and he actually had a really good criticism of that last panel, it should be some dash thing. And he suggested that as a possible fix or addition to it. And so thank you for that. I have to make that change at some point, but it was a fun little journey I went on for a couple days developing that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The man dash thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's easy fix, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think gosh, I keep on wanting to call him Kirby because it's shorter than Kleinhahn's, but I haven't met him yet, so I don't feel like I can call him Kirby. He had a bunch of other ideas for some interactions between the two at Camp Swampy, right? And so that's the connection between the two is Camp Swampy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And I have a couple other ones I really wanted to show that you sent me. These awesome.
I like that.
Yeah, those are old Mighty Mouse comic books pages or panels and that I put together, and there's a little storyline. You could actually read it all the way through, sort of. And
then there's another one.
Here I come to save the day.
And then here's the second one.
Oh, Super Goof with his goobers.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one's an old Goofy. I think I'm not sure if it's a Super Goof, but it's from an old Goofy comic. But he is actually buying a surfboard in the comic. He comes around the corner, and then this newspaper. What's the duck's name, Brad? Do you know?
Well, it's either Huey, Louie, or Dewey.
Yeah, I didn't know if the color of their hats changed their name or something, but
Usually it does. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
It does, but I don't recall who's who.
Yeah, so that image, it said crime wave sweeps the city, and because he had a surfboard, I put huge waves. I changed it, and and I use that for my YouTube. I think it's on my YouTube little image thing. So
cool. We're gonna be heading into the station here, wrapping this up. The last thing that was on my show and tell after talking about those Archie comic strip books, I'd also found these on eBay. These are simply newspaper clippings from
yeah?
I think the 60s. That, you know, obviously they're not originals, but as somebody that was selling them, they're pretty relatively cheap, and I thought it was a cool thing to have because these were kept in really great condition. Yeah, 1968 at least for this top one here. But I have a couple of these Archie comic strips from the actual newspaper that somebody just held on to. And
You buy it. Those are Bob Montana ones.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
future Anthony might want to take this out, but I was goofing around on eBay last night and somebody is selling some original Bob Montana newspaper strips starting at like 125.
Ooh,
Really?
And I was like, this has got to be fake, right? Starting this cheap. But there's a load of them and they look, I mean,
Starting that cheap, it could be just to get people on it.
Are they all auction or is it buy it now?
I think it's auction.
Okay.
I mean, I've looked for like comic strip original art, and a lot of it really doesn't go for a whole lot of money. Like you can get, as long as it's not like a super famous strip, or like, you know, because you're never going to get an original Calvin and Hobbes because it's all in Columbus, Ohio, at the museum, like every bit of it. He never got rid of any of it. But I mean, I've seen like Baby Blues original pages for like $200.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen Funky Winkerbean pages for like $150 to $300, depending.
You just made that
Mhm.
word.
Huh?
You just made that word up.
Funky Winkerbean. I
I
think he
love
did.
Funky Winkerbean.
I used to read Funky Winkerbean. That's one of the few comic strips where people actually aged.
Yeah, they did 2 time jumps in it.
Yeah.
Started off high school, and then it jumped to like post college, and then he did another one where they jumped to all the characters were like 45 years old.
Yeah.
We're gonna go around kind of our last little round here because I just happened to notice there's a non-Jello mold Beetle Bailey that D. Brad has drawn. But yeah, if you want to go through some of the ones we didn't highlight or talk about, this will be the time as we kind of wrap up.
Okay.
I think we're getting at that 2-hour mark, give or take. So yeah, we'll kind of rein things in here. Oh, I didn't even see the Jughead. Nice.
Yeah, this was in the book. All of these are from the book, the drawing, how to draw the characters book. And this one is a Stan Goldberg version of Jughead. I can tell. And
Do you have
then
do
Beetle
you have
Bailey?
a favorite artist on the Archies?
Do I?
Uh-huh.
Favorite? Yeah, I love Harry Lucy. I love
Harry
Bob
Lucy.
Montana and
Uh-huh.
Sam Schwartz.
Sam Schwartz. Okay.
Sam Schwartz mostly did Jughead.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, I like Dan DeCarlo too, as well. And yeah, those are my top 4.
My top is probably Art Baltazar, I think, when it comes to.
Yeah, little Archie.
He does a great
Like-
Jughead. His Jughead is like the quintessential perfect Jughead.
Jeff Schultz and Craig Boldman, those guys are awesome.
Jeff Schultz, he's the closest to Dan DeCarlo, I've noticed.
I have
Yeah.
3 of his original pages from Betty and Veronica.
My favorite of the modern guys is the one of them. I think one of them passed away. The brothers, the
The
Kennedy brothers.
Kennedys. Pat and Tim Kennedy. That's what I was going to bring up is
Yeah, they are.
I've seen a couple of theirs in these digests that I have.
Yeah, they're closest to
And-
Harry Lucy.
They really stand out to me quite a
Yeah,
bit.
they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Mine would have to be Dan Parent who penciled
Oh yeah, the famous guy there.
this character that just be walking through Betty and Veronica here. Just happens to look like me. But, I'll have to shout out Dan Parent and Bob Smith and Glenn Whitmore contributed to bringing me to life in an Archie comic book. So
Got my
That's pretty cool.
Jeff Schultz page with
Nice.
Reggie getting hit in the face with a pie.
Yes.
That I bought this page from him because it has every character in it. You
Oh,
got
you
Betty,
actually got to
Veronica.
bought it from him?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Me and Fife did a convention that him and Craig Boldman were like the 2 guests like the two big names there, and
Right.
he was selling those for $30 a page.
Wow. It's like giving it away.
And then, well, last year when we were at Cincinnati Comic Expo, I met him because I wanted him to sign one of my little digests, and he was selling them for $40 a page. I bought two of them then, and then I bought one this time, and I'm hoping next time I see him, they'll be $20 a page.
Mhm.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Splurge and buy two.
see, and then Craig, he just created a new character for Archie, Daisy Thunder.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the
race car
racing.
driver.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just did a store signing.
Oh,
and
I see it. Yeah, Days of Thunder. Okay.
yes. Had an exclusive cover and everything. It's awesome. Those are both Cincinnati boys.
Oh,
They
yeah.
both live down in Cincinnati area, so awesome. Love those guys.
Anything else?
Cincinnati, where they don't know the difference between pasta and soup.
And they think chili has chocolate in it.
What?
Ugh.
If you've never
Actually-
had Cincinnati style chili, you make spaghetti and you make a brown sauce that you call chili, and you put the chili on top of the spaghetti, and then you cut up some hot dogs and put it on there.
Hot dogs.
And then you top the whole thing with cheddar cheese.
Oh,
My
yeah.
wife's yelling at me right now, but
Then you do 6 or 7 shots of Jägermeister and you go to bed.
yeah.
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 Takes a lot of alcohol to handle that food. Lots
I
of
would never have a lot of alcohol to handle that food because it could
Oof.
come back up.
Oh,
Well,
It'll
Then
come
you get
back
to
up if
taste
you
it
don't.
twice. Then you get to taste it twice.
well, you
All right.
you don't need a lot of alcohol to handle all of the drawings
Go
that
away.
Brad does on the show.
No, but Canada, man, you guys got poutine, and that stuff is amazing.
Poutine? I'll tell you how many times I've had poutine in Canada.
It's 0. Man, yeah,
Isn't that sort of a
had it my
Evacuate
whole life.
thing?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. But it has spread to the rest of Canada.
So good. There's a place here in town that sells it, and they add beer cheese to it also.
Oh,
So you got the French fries, you got the brown gravy, you got the cheese curds, and then beer cheese.
beer cheese. See, I don't even know.
So I'm fine with the French fries and the gravy, but the cheese curds in the
Ah.
gravy is
Ah, they
just a
squeak
bit
on your
much
teeth.
for me.
I like
Oh.
cheese curds on their own.
Yeah, I like cheese curds on their own, but not mixed with the
You gotta
gravy.
try it, man. It's delicious.
Oh, I have. My wife lived
Right.
in Montreal for like 3 years before she moved down here.
Try it again.
Huh?
Try it again.
Try it again.
Keep eating it until you like it because it's delicious.
It's an
Speaking-
acquired taste.
Speaking of trying again, D. Brad, any other drawings that you have left to show off?
Oh, okay. Andy Cap.
I didn't-
Yeah.
I used to read a lot of Andy Cap in pocketbooks, but he's a pretty terrible person.
They changed him. He's super PG now.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
And these are an old comic Cats and Jammer kids.
Yeah. That's one of the first comic strips, I think.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
the early
Lots of
one.
prints, yeah.
You drew this. You drew these on this episode? I didn't see it.
Oh,
He
yeah.
traced them.
I did Hagar, and Popeye, and Broomhilda. But I didn't have to make up the poses because I used the drawing book, right? So I could draw it.
If you weren't in Canada, I'd be like, I want you to mail me that Andy Cap, but it would cost you way too much money to ship it here.
$500, yeah.
I'm gonna have Rodgers have his band make a longer song for our credits theme so we can fit all those drawings in this week. So,
Man.
Since I have my drawing screen up here, I don't think Troy saw the introduction of it, but I wanted to put 3 of my favorite comic strip characters together. So Snoopy flying his doghouse, Dennis defending it from the back, and then we just find out that Beetle's just taking an old nap there at the bottom. So this is as far as I got for my. I'll finish this up for the post, but yeah, I just wanted to cover that. We're going to jump over to Troy. What did you end up drawing here? We saw Dennis, we saw Kelvin. If you want to show those off.
Pretty much just Dennis. The others I were just sort of doodling what I'm happy with, but pretty happy with Dennis.
Looks good. You got those
Good.
3 lines in that front swoop. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah. Maybe his hair is a little bit too pretty, but that's okay.
I have
Dennis,
I have
without reference.
I have a when we get to plugs, I do have a plug today, and it has to do with the dentist. So that's why I said that.
Cool.
Let's jump over to Rodgers. How were you doing on that comic strip that you were doing?
I've decided that we're gonna make it into a game. And I have it blank. And we're gonna put it up on like an image sharing site. We'll link to it in the description.
Oh yeah.
And people that listen to the show can visit, download it, and they can add their own text and then share it on the Facebook page.
And then the winner will win the signed version of it.
If the winner will get that Andy Cap drawing shipped to them for free from
Oh.
eBay.
Free. Oh no.
We'll get that year's supply of turtle
They
wax.
won't really. Disclaimer, they're not going to get anything, but it'll be fun.
Oh, that's definitely cool. Awesome. Jump over to Kevin Wolf, our guest. If you want to go through a slideshow of what you've been working on.
Yeah, I have 2 things. So the additions to this one, I did a Garfield with the gnome hat, sort of in honor of your gnome series.
Yeah.
And we have then a happy astronaut and Dennis the Menace and nice curl dude.
Yeah.
Love it.
The
That's
curls
awesome.
are meeting.
What that?
I like it.
Curl meeting.
Yeah. And then the last thing, I did this actually the other night. If I had time, I thought I would redraw it, but this is a mashup of Art Baltazar's King Harold and Jamie Cosley's Blue Scar. And there's the 2 characters at the top, and then I mashed them up in this
I like it. I like
I
it.
called Harold Scar the Barbarian.
Barbar.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Very
and
cool.
I think the head is a little off center, but so it was a fun piece.
That's awesome.
I like it.
Oh, and then there's a little tattoo. So
Oh, look at that.
there's
Product
happy
placement.
Wolf art.
yeah,
like
wolf
it.
art.
Wolf art.
I'll be right back.
I will be in Madison, Wisconsin for MightyCon. Go to mightyconshows.com. Myself and David Gloyd from the Crimson Cowl Media and Crimson Cowl Comic Club. We'll both be there selling art. I got some new stuff. He's got some new stuff. It's exciting to do that. So that is beginning of May. All the information is before and after this episode. mightyconshows.com for tickets and information if you are in the Wisconsin area. Matt Rodgers and Matt Fife have a convention, I think, that is a week after the fact. Once again, that information is in the post and after credits. Word. It's before and after credits is what I meant to say. We're going over to D. Brad, who mentioned something about a plug. Are you ready for such plug?
Yeah. I have a friend who runs a Facebook group, and he has a whole bunch of comics that he has collected, like comic strips, and he's putting them all in order. And he's introduced me to so many rare comics, and he has them all in like folders, so you can read them in sequential order. And it's called it's called Comics and Funnies.
Cool.
Like the N is an apostrophe N. Why can I not get in the right spot? There you go. That works. Comics and Funnies by Dennis. Yeah.
And where is that located again?
It's just a Facebook group you can join, but you don't have to join it. You can still look at it without joining. But yeah, it's a good one to join. It pops up in my feed all the time.
If you join it, you're eligible for that year supply of turtle wax, so I suggest doing it. So
Join it. You'll
all
enjoy
right.
it.
Jump over to Matt Rodgers. Anything you want to plug there for the end? We have an issue of Happy Astronaut number 5 coming out.
Happy Astronaut number 5. It's not in previews anymore, but you can still get it on keenspotshop.com. What do we got on that one? We got my cover, we got Art Baltazar's cover, we got a virgin hollow foil version of his cover, and then we have my normal weathered beat to crap version. And
Not going to
then
be a steel cover.
that's on the next book.
Okay.
That's
I
gonna
like
have.
the boost. I like the Booster Gold shirt, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
just saw that. Pretty cool.
It's a
Do
beauty.
they sell Blue Beetle shirts?
I think they do. You need to get one. We can fight crime.
Yeah.
Something I'm working on in my spare time. I found out that you can take an 11 by 17 inch piece of paper and you can fold it a certain way to make mini zines.
Yeah.
So I've started, and it's called Dead Wrestlers.
Dead
And
wrestlers.
all it is wrestlers that
Dead.
died under the age of 50.
Oh, okay.
Because there's been a whole bunch of wrestlers that die super young. Yeah, there's all kinds of them. So I was like, that'd be an interesting thing to do. And then print out a bunch of them at home, fold them up, and just stick them on a con table for like $1 or something.
Well, we go from a depressing zine over to happy wolf art. That's my Kevin Wolf, thank you for being on the show. People, check out this QR code to reach out to Kevin for Happy Wolf Art 1 over on Instagram in order to reach out to fight a Hessian, as well as for the upcoming The California Kids. But you also have, it's a Teespring shop, is that correct?
Yeah, I have a Teespring shop with just some of the characters that I've developed and put on there. And if you're interested in any cartoony style art regarding those series, or this is just one that I did recently. There is no Sven of Candyland, but I like sort of the Candyland style fantasy world. Yeah,
Candyland.
I like it.
but yeah, let me know, and I'll give Anthony my email in case you're not on Instagram. If maybe you can put it in the show notes or something for people that want to contact me.
Totally, yeah. I'll put all that information there at the bottom while we're talking so people can check that out, follow your art, follow your posts and all that stuff. It was awesome to have you on. It was great to meet you in person after talking online, and especially the connection you had with Troy and Kid Slapshot and Oh Yeah Comics brought us all together. This is me just buying a little time knowing that Matt Rodgers went off the screen, not knowing if he's going to get something to come back or if we're just going to end the show.
Kevin.
I'm coming back.
Coming back. So that is why we're going to hang out and just newspaper comics, an awesome topic. I think we can. Oh, there we go.
Oh yes.
All right.
Jeez,
So yes, that information. There's a little ad beginning of the episode that I had created. But yeah, go to their thread.
And do you have? Sorry to interrupt, but Matt, do you have your colorful leggings on too?
No, just jeans.
Oh, okay. Next time.
I changed my hat. Could you tell?
Yes.
Yeah, where'd you get the hats? That's right. You mentioned 4 or 3 for where'd you get those? Were they online?
Yeah, I've just found them on Amazon. They shipped, and the only thing wrong is like there's a dent right here,
Those are cool.
but that'll wear itself out. I also then because I was like, I'm eventually gonna wear out my other hat. So I was like looking for them and I found one on eBay, but it was like $35. And I was like, or I could pay 20 for this 4-pack. And then a few days later, I got a package in the mail and my wife ordered the other one too.
Oh.
So that's called a Memphis pattern, you said?
Yeah, Memphis art style.
Memphis art style. And you also have, as D. Brad alluded to, you also have Memphis art style, like pantyhose or something?
Talking exercise pants, yeah.
I don't. But Anthony was drawing something the other day that looked like it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well,
Gotcha.
I wish. I wish.
leave-
I wear a
Maybe
whole outfit.
maybe future Anthony will add that picture in there to
maybe it'll be
to make,
maybe
make
it'll
this
be-
moment less weird.
No. On that note, we're going to wrap up the show. Thanks again, Kevin Wolf, being here. That is going to do it for this episode of Cartoonist by Night. If you like the show, please give it a like, comment along, share with a friend, let people know. We have a couple guests that are lined up for the future episodes of the show. We are nearing the 1-year anniversary of this very show as well. So we've got, I think, 20 episodes or so that are in the catalog to watch and check out and follow everybody. Thank you for checking this episode out. And we're going to end this episode like we end every single episode of Cartoonist by Night by simply saying, hang 10.
Bye.
You got it. Can't get the thing closed.
Shamrock shakes are a beautiful green, the most beautiful green that you've ever seen.